The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Yo, Trojan family, what's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm your host, Ryan Dybrood. Big recruiting news, officially committed. Honor Fa'alave Johnson announces just moments ago that he will be taking his talents to USC. It's been trending this way for a while. We've talked a ton about him. Just last week, basically put in, I need to come up with a name for him. You know, we're not rivals. We're not 24/7. Like, it's not Crystal Ball. Maybe I'll have it's not a Fong Bomb. I'll come up with some name, or you in the comments maybe can throw out some USC LAFB alliterations or something. So we'll come up with something. But we put out a prediction that this was going to come to fruition. It was looking this way for a while. There obviously, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame were all in the running, but USC was in the lead really for almost the entirety of this thing, or not the entirety, but at least of the last of this calendar year, let's say. And so he officially commits. This bumps USC into the top 10 in their recruiting rankings via Rivals. I believe it puts them at 7th overall. We're still a long way from the finish line. They only have 5 total commits, but hey, already top 10. And I think after last year's 35-person class, if you can finish top 10 this year, I mean, that's huge. Obviously, if you can finish top 5 with basically 18 blue chip prospects, fantastic. But if USC finishes in the top 10, it's another home run class. But hey, we got a long way to go for that. Today is just to celebrate, honor Fa'alave Johnson. Real quick shout out, repping this shirt here. My guy, big fan of the show, or I'll just say listener of the show. I don't know if he's a real fan or not. But if you're watching, I appreciate you. On Twitter or on X, he is at made at SC, just like the shirt says. But he made this out of the kindness of his heart, sent it over to me. So, I love it. He's a, former military service member. So we thank you, sir, for your service. And, just a huge USC fan and listener of the show. So shout that out. Awesome shirt. I mean, it's pretty fun. Got the flag over here. So, love that. But, so I wanted to shout that out real quick. But if you watched his commitment, honor Fa'alave Johnson, that is, he, announced it at 1 p.m. or they had a little delay, so like 1:15, and loved his, pre-speech. Not taking anything away from other kids, but some kids were like, yeah, thank you. Thanks to God for blessing me with the ability. Thanks to my family. Like, he really detailed all of his family, and you can see he was getting emotional. His parents, his siblings, everyone getting emotional about just kind of where they've come from and where they're going. And now this opportunity that gives him as the number 1 athlete in the class, staying home at USC, following in the potential footsteps of guys like Reggie Bush, guys like Adoree Jackson, who played 2 ways, and he has the ability to certainly do that. Now, reminder, he is going to USC, at least as of now, unless things change, as a safety with some offensive versatility. So certainly I think USC in the recruitment process has talked about having some offensive, plays and scheming things up for him, but his primary will be safety. We'll see if that changes. We'll see if that shifts. We'll see if they end up making it more duality. A lot can change in a year, but I think his primary focus will be the safety position, which I think will be great for both him and for USC. So huge for just anyone that wants the stats again. He's the number 1 athlete in the class, number 1 player in the state of California, the number 18 overall player in nationally in the 27 class via Rivals recruiting industry. He is also the first number 1 California player to commit to USC since Domani Jackson back in 2022. So it's been a while since USC has had the number 1 California player stay home. They've had many number 1 players of their position stay home. When you think about Deshaun Rideau last year was the number 1 running back in California. When you think about Mark Bowman was the number 1 tight end. And there was others as well, but this is the first number 1 overall player since 2022. So huge commitment for USC. bringing their total class to 5 now. So you have Honor Fa'alave Johnson, who will headline the group. You have Aaron Washington, cornerback. You have 2 receivers in Eli Woodard and Quentin Hale, both 4 stars. And then on the defensive line, Isaiah Vandermeid from Santa Margarita. So it's already a really strong looking class, and it's just going to continue to get better. We have, remember, next week, a week from today, Danny Lang has moved his commitment up from July 2nd all the way to next week, March 21st on Saturday. Will it be a clean sweep for USC in these 2 California talented elite prospects? You know, we'll be back next week talking about it. We'll probably talk about it throughout the week. But certainly as of right now, a week away, I would say I feel very good about USC winning that commitment as well. But we'll see how this week goes. And obviously Oregon will probably do an all-out push to try to sway him leading up to next week. But yeah, we'll be back for that. We got time for that. So today is all about Honor Fa'alave Johnson. Drop your comments below. It's just, I think it shows you where the program is. And I said this, I think, a few days ago, that since Chad Bowden came aboard and since the NIL has really been a weapon, not just a, hey, we have money, but we don't know how to correctly use it. Because, even before Bowden had here, USC had money, but it wasn't allocated correctly. They weren't negotiating correctly just because there wasn't a GM. That wasn't Lincoln Riley's job. That's not what you do as the head coach. There just wasn't a true person in that role. Since Chad Bowden has gotten here, they have basically anyone that they have truly wanted and gone all in on, they've gotten. Luke Wafel, Jamie Winfield, Tom, Jonas Williams, got both those guys to flip. Mark Bowman, and now Honor Fa'alave Johnson. When they've said, hey, this kid is coming to USC, and they go all out, they've gotten them. Now, there's been other kids they've been in on, and when it started feeling more like back and forth, they've kind of pulled away a little bit. It's I think the only one that I can think of that, and there's probably some I'm missing, but the only one that I can really think of that they were really in on, that ultimately they were kind of in the final 3 and they hadn't pulled out, was Jet Washington, safety out of Las Vegas. So it's been a real change and shift in USC recruiting, that they are just a dominant force in the space and show no signs of slowing down. Just a quick tip of the cap to Lincoln Riley, to Chad Bowden, to Gary Patterson, Paul Gonzalez, who, obviously late to the party, but obviously had to have an impact on this, to Chad Savage, who was involved as well on the offensive side, as they can use him not just as a running back, but in the slot as a real weapon. And probably the biggest, most deserving shout out goes to Coach Dog. Coach, just an absolute star, not even in the making, already a star in the recruiting game. I've talked about him before. You've heard of him before. His actual title is Director of High School Relations. Obviously very involved within the staff and within the walls at USC, but he is a future GM in the making. He's already a star. He's a future GM star in the making, and he deserves a ton of credit for this one. I don't think Honor Fa'alave Johnson is at USC committed today if not for Coach Dog, and you can say that about a lot of recruits over the past 2 years. So he has just become a force in the recruiting game and is such a staple at USC, and is just, enjoy it while he's here, because he's going to be a GM one day. He's going to get promoted somewhere. So enjoy it while he's here, because he is a dominant force. So shout out Coach Dog. But that's it. Big commitment, good stuff. USC, 5 total commitments, 7th overall ranked recruiting class now in 2027, and showing no signs of slowing down. Shout out to my friends over at FanDuel. We are brought to you by FanDuel. Check out FanDuel Sportsbook and tell them the guys at USC LAFB sent you. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll have a little bit more later today. USC with 2 more recruiting hires, under the radar additions to the recruiting staff, as they have just kind of built one of the best recruiting staffs in the entire nation. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So stay tuned and make sure to hit that subscribe so you get updated when it goes out. But everyone, enjoy your Saturday. It's a beautiful day in LA, as you could see from Honor Fa'alave's announcement down in San Diego, all across Southern California. It is spring here. It is St. Patrick's Day weekend. Enjoy some cocktails, Your boy's already getting started a little bit, so go enjoy it. The family, be safe, have some fun. We'll be back later this evening. Appreciate you, family, as always. Bye now.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.